What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Shake Chatterjee, and you are tuning in to another episode of Life is Blurry. Our special guest for today is none other than Zachary Reality, who puts the T in reality. He is a reality TV icon, well known across all social media channels, with TikTok being one of the most prominent. But this guy, you can't get away from him. You open up YouTube, there he is. You open up Instagram, there he is. And he is somebody that does not hold back. I'm a little nervous. I'm very excited to get to know Zachary. Zachary, how are you today?
It's good to meet you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I do spill a lot of tea on all of the reality TV stuff. I cover like all of the shows. I love watching them so much. It's interesting that you're nervous to meet me. I'm nervous to meet you. I mean, I have opinions, but I mean, so do you.
I've got some opinions, but they don't carry the sort of weight yours do around the internet. When you have something to say, I know it makes waves. So speaking of which, I know you've said some things about me, and nothing personal, man. Hey, it's an entertainment business that we're in. We're in the business of catching people's attention. So let me just start off by saying, don't hold back. Feel free to really lay into me if you got something to say, because, I look forward to the opportunity to give you my point of view. So let me just, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I gave you a lot of grace on my TikTok and throughout my channels this past season. I think you you kind of said some crazy things on Love is Blind. So I was always trying to look at it as the other perspective. I remember I put out something last week. I was like, Shake is moving to Miami. His castmates will miss him so much. Like, I like to throw the light shade, just because at the end of the day, like, we are watching a TV show. So I never like to judge someone until I actually talk to them, like through a Zoom or like face to face. So everything I say is always just based on the shows that I'm watching. So, I mean, how do you feel like you were portrayed on the show?
Not great, not great. But I was just watching your video on the finale, and you kind of went and said Shake said some crazy stuff, some mean stuff, et cetera, and that's not very different from the type of things other people have said. But I want to ask you a question, and I hate to put you on the spot, but
Okay.
give me one or two quotes of things that I said that was offensive or mean spirited, and I'd be happy to address those if you can think of any specific quotes
On the Love is Blind reunion?
Yeah, just in general from the whole season.
Ooh, okay. I mean, I feel like at the Love is Blind reunion, where you were messing up is that you weren't like owning it. You weren't like apologizing for, I guess, the things you said about Deep D's like physical appearance throughout the season.
Okay, let's stick with that topic for a second.
Okay.
Think of a specific quote that I said about her, because people love to say, you said stuff about her, you spoke so poorly of her. But I'm like rewinding and fast forwarding and jumping through the episodes. I'm like, in my memory, I didn't say anything truly offensive. And also on the show, I didn't say anything mean or offensive. So yeah, maybe if you don't mind, if you could think of like a specific quote where I said something bad, I'd be happy to address it.
Yeah, well, why don't you tell me what people have been saying overall, like the one quote, because I can't even think of something off the top of my head.
That's okay. And I've been processing all this in my own way, and this is kind of the solution I found to kind of like hold the mirror up and say, show me a quote. And here's the thing. There is no actual quote that people can find. I never once said anything along the lines of, she is unattractive, she is this, she is that. What I said was, I'm having trouble myself, feeling that spark. I'm unattracted. But what people were ready to do, quick to do, eager to do, almost, it seemed like they were like, oh, I cannot wait to twist this into something that it wasn't. And once it gets twisted, it's like a game of telephone, right? So you hear about this guy Shake, he's such an asshole. He's degrading to women. And then when they're watching the episode themselves, they see it through this lens of like, look at this asshole, right?
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for people communicating with one another and making it into something it wasn't, I think would be in an entirely different situation right now.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand that, a reality show will make someone a villain, and that sometimes when we're in like a group of people, like everyone will tend to hate on one person just because then it's like conforming.
Mhm.
But why do you think the whole cast generally doesn't like you? And it seems like they still don't like you to this day.
Yeah, happy to answer that one. So as the season progressed, I met this group of people at the beginning. I formed friendships with them, or at the very least, we we had something that bonded us and that made us, friendly towards one another. But as the show progressed and really towards the end and like right around the reunion and things like that, I saw people who were once honest, true, real, turn into people that could lie like it was second nature. Like it
Mhm.
was so easy for these people to lie. It was so easy for these people to be fake that I started calling them out on it because at this point I'm already the villain, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of my, hatred towards me was because of my honesty, of me being, I admit I
Brutally
could have
honest.
really honest, brutally honest, and I admit I could have been nicer with the way I went about things. I mean, I certainly could have, but at the end of the day, there's people that do respect me because I
Mhm.
was honest. I didn't lead anybody on. I didn't sugarcoat it or deflect to, a completely different reason to save face. And I'm seeing people who they dip their toes into that, but as they went along, like by the time the show was out and the reunion was being filmed, like it wasn't dipping their toes, like they were like head underwater at that point. So after receiving the hate that I got and seeing these people lying through their teeth, I started calling them out.
Yeah.
I called them out to their faces. I called them out to some degree at the reunion, and that wasn't even like a full call out because the cameras are rolling and there's certain things topics I just didn't want to completely out people on. And
Yeah.
as that happened, like of course that's gonna irritate some people. I mean, I don't know if this is a nice way of saying it, but like I have dirt on every single one of these people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I decided I'm not gonna play into this made up narrative that you guys are so comfortable playing into. And once they knew I wasn't going to play ball, they didn't want me around and I didn't want to be
Yeah.
around them. So it was like, of course
Gotcha.
we don't like each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I have heard of this on other reality shows where people who get favorable edits are like they don't want to help the person with the bad edit because they don't want to be attached to that, and they almost feel like putting that person down will make them even look better. It's definitely a doggy dog world when you're on a reality show. However, it seems like with you, it was so deep where these people are now saying that you got a better edit than what was given to you, and it's still continuing after the show. So I'm wondering why it can't just be mended by now. This way you can all move on.
Yeah. And I think it'll come down to how, I guess, maybe stubborn is the right word. Maybe it's like headstrong or whatever it is. I've always been the type to like stand up to the bully. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
always just been, it's like, okay, whatever consequences it may bring, I'm gonna stand my ground if I believe in it. If it's the truth. And I didn't give them any wiggle room on that, you know? There's really not a whole lot to repair and mend there. There truly isn't. There truly isn't. Cause seeing people that I was literally hanging out with in some cases days before the reunion or maybe a month before. We're on a vacation together. We're at a lake house together. We're driving ATVs together. Whatever. Seeing those same people once the cameras are on do exactly what you said. It's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I can virtue signal. I can be mean to this person and in doing so maybe think people will think more highly of me." Once that happened, I'm like, "Oh, hell no." I'm like, "Definitely not." I'm like, "Definitely not. I have no interest in that." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Wow.
I don't,
That's
yeah, I don't
crazy.
want to be mended with them. I just don't. I don't like what they stand for.
Yeah, that's so I mean, it's something that I feel like you can't know unless you're there, like how people genuinely are on camera and not on camera.
Hmm.
I will say that I mean, like when an entire group of people like think something, you're more likely to believe them. So I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter if you're over it with all of them. So what are you trying to do now to are you trying to like win over the public and like let everyone know that you're not this bad guy you were portrayed to be, or how are you kind of going about that in the next steps of your life?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you know, I don't know that I'm trying to win anybody over.
Hmm.
I'm done playing that game. I never really was good at that game in my life. What I'm doing is continuing to do me, making sure that, at the end of the day, living with yourself and accepting yourself is the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm leading a lifestyle that I'm happy with. I made the move to Miami, as I think you saw. I
Hmm.
want to talk to you a little bit more about that later, but um pursuing new interests. I have a new, girlfriend, and my life now is very me, you know. I had my fun in Chicago. I had a good time there. It'll always hold a special place in my heart. My family's there, but I'm not focused on repairing an image. What I'm really trying to do is shed light on topics that people are judgmental about, that people are confused about, you know, that people sometimes try not to think about. And
Uh-huh.
in doing so, just introduce a new way of thinking to lead to more acceptance and understanding in general. This isn't about me anymore, because what I realize is I'm not most people aren't like me. I'll go ahead and say that and take that how you
How
will.
so?
Um, I don't know that most people are as comfortable being hated,
Hmm.
or standing up to the group. You know what I
That's
mean?
fair.
I think, you know, a lot of other people in my shoes would have been like, "Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. Like, hey, like, can we just be friends?" But that just goes against my nature so much, because I'm like, I see the lies, I see the hypocrisy. Like, let me just give you an example of like this on camera versus off camera, duality.
Okay.
So maybe 5 days before filming was um, the Super Bowl. Sorry, 5 days before filming the reunion was the Super Bowl, and I watched the Super Bowl with Shane, Deeps, Kyle, and a few other people in the
Not
cast. Like,
deep D.
yeah, Deep D, Deep D. So
Okay.
this is like days before the reunion was filmed, and imagine how I felt when Kyle at the reunion says, "Shake, you ruined it for everybody, bro. I could have married Deep D. It could have been me marrying Deep D." And I'm like, you literally saved that. We hung out 30 times, maybe more than 30 times. He
Hmm.
came to my DJ sets, like we all hung out a ton. But I'm like, you purposely waited till the reunion because what, you were trying to embarrass me? Or like what do you
Well, I
think of
think
that, Zach? What do you
I
think?
think that at reunions, it's really important to like put yourself back into the environment of the show, and everything needs to be played out at the reunion for the show. Like even if you like made amends after the show, we the viewers don't know that. So I feel like things do have to get brought up and people do need to be held accountable. However, it's a little shady that maybe he didn't warn you that he was coming in with a little bit of a grudge if you just hung out days prior.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so the point you're making is an important one, which
Mhm.
is that for the purposes of a show, people are trying to like resolve things that were, in some cases like a year ago, you know what I mean? Or just things that have already been resolved. So like you said it yourself, it's a bit of an act at that point. And I guess my problem, I'm not an actor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like like that's what like upset me the most, because I'm like, okay, we've been cool for how many months? Like we've all hung out. Like how is it so easy for you to jump back in to this like at this point, it's fake.
Yeah.
If it was real at one point, like now it's fake. You know,
Yeah.
and I have to think for Kyle, knowing Kyle, he wanted to do it not just to like air a grudge, but he wanted the attention. He wanted to be like the one to say something like that. And if you watch him, like he was being all bashful about it and stuff like that. And like, that's fake, dude. That's just like, and here's another thing. Here's some tea for you. Okay. And I want
For
to,
all of us.
I want to ask about some other tea from other shows. This doesn't have to all be
Yeah.
about Love is Blind, but
Yeah. Yeah.
while we're talking about Love is Blind, here's the tea. Kyle and Deeps, they're not together. They're not hooking up. They've never hooked up. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
I've been out with them, and Kyle's like taking home another girl, whatever. Like we're hanging out. It is a fake relationship for clout. And
Mhm.
like that's a little like, come on. If people are gonna say stuff about me, it doesn't
Wow.
get more fake than that. Like you're faking a whole relationship to keep the media like guessing at what you're
Interesting.
doing, like the
I
double
mean,
dates that
for sure. I see that. And honestly, even if it's real or fake, like I'm just going to talk about it because that is the clout that they give that reporters like me will get too by gossiping about it and being like, oh my God, it's the speculation that keeps people interested. So, I mean, I think it's smart by them in one move if they're trying to stay relevant, but it also is very inauthentic, which I think will play out in the long run. But can I ask you about the after the altar on Love is Blind? Because I know that was shot already. And I think a lot of
Mhm,
us are assuming that they can't confirm their relationship until that, or relationship with air quotes.
mhm. Yeah, I elected to not participate in that.
Oh,
They wanted me to come. They made special accommodations for me. I just said, I'm not interested. I'm not
you
interested.
weren't
So
there?
I wasn't there
Interesting. I mean, I heard that you were there.
at the after the altar.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm hearing that wrong, but I heard it was at a winery that Danielle and Nick threw it. And I remember asking, like, did Shake make amends with everyone? And I think the person I talked to said no.
No, I didn't make
You just
amends
didn't
because I
show
wasn't
up.
there. I was never there.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Hmm.
I said no to that. It was a flat no. I have no interest in spending time with those people. You know,
Yeah.
and here's the thing. It's like I don't care about staying relevant. You know,
Mhm.
like if I cared about staying relevant so much, I would have just like put my tail between my legs and like gone there and been like, "Hey, everybody, like I'm sorry." You know what I mean? Like it's really nice talking to you, Zach, because you really understand the reality TV world. Even though I was on a
Mhm.
show, you are more reality TV than me. You
I
understand
know.
you understand how it works.
Yeah.
You understand the strategies. And basically they said to me on the show, you were on the wrong show. I shouldn't be on reality TV at all. Like I honestly feel, bro, like I'm too real for reality TV. I can't engage myself in the strategies that like you're so comfortable being like, oh, they did that because of that. I'm like, okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. This guy knows what he's talking about when
Uh-huh.
it comes to reality TV, but
Yeah.
I don't, and I don't want to be part of that.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely to each their own. I like to look at things as like a producer, and I think ultimately my goal is to become a reality TV like executive producer and help create shows. But I would not want to manipulate people the way I hear producers manipulate on lots of reality shows because it just sounds like they're so awful.
Yeah, I think you'd be a great producer, man. Honestly, just like
Mhm.
listening to your content, um, it's a breath of fresh air. It's funny. It's memorable. So,
Cool.
do you have any cool ideas for a show if you were to have your own?
That's a good question. I mean, I think I've always wanted to see a gay show with like a group of gay men and maybe some girls and kind of have that more of like a friend group with drama. But I
Okay,
also love like because we just don't see that on reality TV. There's not enough shows like that.
true.
But I love competition shows. So I would kind of want to create like a mix of like a competition dating show. I think that kind of intrigues people. I have so many ideas that I just feel like will come over time. But I honestly think I should start creating them now.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, if you're looking for ways to get them in front of executives, I can help you with that. I do have some contacts. You don't have to share all your best ideas
Yeah.
on here, or else I'm gonna steal them, or Karis will
Yeah.
steal them. She's over here taking
Seriously.
notes. So, okay, well, hey, man, I believe in you. If that's what you want to do, I'll help you in any way I can. But speaking
Cool.
of reality, I know you're into The Bachelor.
Mhm.
The Ultimatum is kind of the new show that's out on Netflix. What are some of your favorite reality shows to comment on, and what makes some of them more special to you?
The Bachelor is probably my number one favorite show to comment on because it was one of the first shows I started watching. Also, Survivor. So I like to technically comment on the shows that I like have been watching the longest because those, I guess, just mean more to me. I guess I'm nostalgic from like old seasons and stuff. Plus, The Bachelor does really well for me with engagement. So, I mean, whatever shows my followers are talking about, whatever is relevant, that's kind of what I like to jump on.
Smart.
But right now, I mean, The Ultimatum is the hottest reality show, at least for the week. Next week, it will be Selling Sunset or The Kardashians. So I think it's important to talk so much about like that specific show for that moment. And
Mhm.
then when it's not as relevant the next week or two, you kind of move on. So I'd rather do like 10 videos on The Ultimatum in one day while
Okay,
everyone's talking about it. And then next week, I'll focus on a different show. The more shows
gotcha.
I cover, the more audience I can have, the more it grows.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Have you gotten a chance to talk to anybody from The Ultimatum yet, or is it too early?
Well, of course, I got to know the spoilers. I got to know the teases. I have talked to a couple people from the show. I guess I can't say now. But also, I mean, this is where I get my tea. If to be completely honest, like I talk to people from shows. I've talked to people from your show and your cast. I get a lot of tea from contestants who are not able to speak because they have a contract. But if they tell me, I can say it in a way that's so nonchalant, where you don't know where I'm getting my sources from. But sometimes I do get tea wrong. I mean, you've seen some of my videos. I don't know if you've seen anything that I got wrong that you want to call me out on, but feel free.
Yeah, nothing in particular. I kind of saw the stuff you said about me, and we kind of already aired that out. But
Yeah.
I am curious. Um, with the other Love Is Blind people, what were your impressions after talking to them? Do you think, knowing as much about reality TV as you know, do you ever get the impression that they're putting on some kind of facade, or milking it, or just, like you said yourself, extending the relevancy? You ever get that feeling?
Yes, for sure. I definitely do sometimes, but I think the people that I actually like develop friendships with, I feel like I can usually read people pretty well. And I mean, I get tea like every day, like even just from random people. So I'm kind of able to like scour through to see what's authentic or not, or what's worth posting. And I mean, my goal is never to like get anyone in trouble either with their job or their network. So I never like reveal like the real tea
Okay.
sometimes. I like to do the fluff and like the speculation so it's safe for everybody. Because at the end of the day, like I'm not here to expose anyone. I'm just here to like make enjoyable entertainment, content and updates.
Okay. That's good. That's the kind of the place you want to be in. Yeah, you don't want to be
Yeah.
wrecking anyone's life.
No,
Um, I'm
don't want to get anyone
also
sued.
yeah, exactly. Um, what what can you tell me about the emotional states that people are in during and after filming? I mean, typically you're talking to people when the show comes out, and
Mhm.
yeah, what do you have to say about that? Do you feel like when people talk to you, they're usually pretty open and friendly? Are they defensive?
Yeah, I mean, I don't ask for tea for like anyone from that I talk to from shows. It's usually where like we develop a friendship, or a lot of times they'll be a fan of me and my content, so then they're more likely to give it. But I never ask anyone. I will say that I think a lot of people really go through it. I've noticed once shows start airing and they get all the backlash and they see that everyone has an opinion on them and comments on them. And something I always tell like reality stars is to just like not engage with like the BS. Like obviously you do want to be able to share your story, but sometimes you're not able to do that until like the reunion, or after the reunion you can kind of share your full story. But like at the end of the day, like it's just not worth reading things or getting upset or feeling like you have to respond to everyone. So I feel like there's been a few situations where I've had to like calm people down just because they're looking for anyone to talk to.
Mhm.
So I'm more than happy to do that because I feel like I get invested in these people when I watch the journey, because I watch these episodes so analytically.
Yeah, no, that's great. You're almost like a therapist at that point, and talking them down, because you, again, you know so much more about reality TV than most reality TV contestants,
Hmm.
right? It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's like it.
it's because they don't even watch the shows. Sometimes they end up on them and they're like, wait, what happened? Like they don't understand it. They just kind of end up on the shows. And producers do that. They like to cast people who don't watch reality TV so that they're easier to take advantage of.
Oh my gosh, story of my life. Are you kidding? Like,
Hmm.
if I knew what I know now, I just don't know, man, if I would have ever done it, you know? I
Would you
mean,
do another show?
not like this. No. Not I don't know that I could ever do another show where the final product is like completely out of my control. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense. Because like,
yeah.
I thought about maybe doing a show. I think if I were to do one, it would be like The Circle because it's like less like toxic and it's more like focused on competition. But I also don't. I feel like that would limit me in so many ways to have like a contract as far as like my job. So probably might not happen. But I'm pursuing hosting. I want to ask you: have you heard about this new Netflix show? There was rumors you were going to be cast on it. It's like a dating show mixed of some Netflix reality shows.
Yeah, I was in the casting process, and all I can say is that was before the show came out. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
if they asked me now, it would have been a hard no. But at that
Yeah.
point, I'm like, hey, you know what? So I genuinely had so much fun filming Love Is Blind, and like my relationship with the cast was amazing. My relationship with Deeps was amazing. Like it was like being with my best friend every single day. Like yeah, I knew pretty early on that the marriage thing wasn't going to happen for us. It just I
Hmm.
couldn't get myself there, but we were having such a good time. We're like, hey, let's just keep this party rolling. So at that point, being asked to be on another show, and this one was going to be set in like a tropical location, I was like, oh hell yeah! I'm like, I'm down. Like, cool. I made all
Hmm.
these friends on this show. Like, I'll probably make some more friends doing this. Now I kind of see the inner workings. It's like it's almost like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like you get into politics and you're like, holy shit! Like this is what's going down. It's like I don't want to be in this at all, and that's kind of where I'm at. So
So you were open to doing it, but then once the show aired and everyone turned on you, and then you saw how reality TV worked, you decided not to do it, and you also conveniently got a girlfriend.
yeah, conveniently, super convenient. Well, you know what? I mean, part of me was I don't know, like I wasn't in the headspace to have a girlfriend for a long time.
Hmm.
I had this crazy show. I I didn't feel right about getting into a relationship before the show came out because I'm like, who knows what the hell is gonna happen. Um, I just didn't think it was gonna be fair, or at the very
Hmm.
least, it was gonna put a lot of extra work on the relationship and stress on that person. So that's one thing. Plus, I kind of had this, other show coming up. I'm like, okay, doesn't make sense to date while I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Just mentally couldn't get there. So
Yeah.
once everything was out, or mostly out, not everything was completely out, but mostly out, and I knew I wasn't going to do this other show. It's one of those things where like, if you let the universe know what you want, you'll kind of get it. Or when you're ready for something, like a lot of times you don't get things until you're ready for them. Even though if you like consciously think you want something, you're not ready for it and you don't get it. So
Yeah.
it worked out really well. Timing is everything, right?
Yeah. So now you're with this new girl, Emily, right? I mean, I think I want to hear the deets. Like, how long have you been together, and what does she think of all of this?
Yeah. So um, we've been together. I'm not going to disclose exactly how long, but
Okay.
we it's a powerful thing that we have. It's a great thing. She's not the reason I moved to Miami, but she's one of the big reasons. Honestly, it helped me pull the trigger that much easier. Um,
Did you guys move in together?
we're figuring it out. We're figuring it out. So right now I'm kind of back and forth Chicago to Miami, but the plan is to kind of make my way down here over the course of the next few
Hmm.
months. She had not seen the show when we met,
Yeah.
which is amazing because it was so pure, right? It's like, hey,
Yeah.
this person likes me for me, or at the very
Hmm.
least, doesn't think those things of me that, the show might make people feel. So
Yeah.
since then, she has watched the show, and I gotta respect her. I mean, I respect her for so many reasons, but one of the things is she thinks for herself.
For sure.
She's not just
Well,
gonna.
and she met you first, so she'll already think of you differently.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that does help a lot, but just, in a general sense, she's a very intelligent girl. I do feel bad because her involvement with me has been hard. Just
Mhm.
because I post a picture of us together and all of a sudden it's like, oh, Shake has this new girl and like he's throwing shade at Deeps. I'm like, I'm not even thinking about Deeps. This has nothing to
Yeah.
do with Deeps. Like
Yeah.
this is me, my new girlfriend, who I'm crazy about. Like, don't rope her into it. And then
But she's
because
gonna get roped into it for a long time.
right, unfortunately. And they hate me, so they want to attack her, or
Yeah.
just because it's just another target. And they're calling her like this, like, they think of her as like this airhead or something like that. But she is so smart. Like she like that. I can't wait to have her on the podcast
Uh-huh.
because I want her to tell her story. Because she's I had that quote on the show. It's like an infamous quote that I get shit for, but it was like, before I know you're good in bed, I want to know you're good in head. And this is a great example of that. Like she's so smart, and the way her mind works is so attractive, how ambitious she is and how intelligent she is and how she handles herself. And those are things that, because people hate me, they are kind of like not allowing her to have. But I think over time that'll kind of reveal itself.
Well, has she, like, tried? I mean, she doesn't wanna look, like, thirsty, but I think she could also, like, kind of, post a video or just explain herself. I mean, she doesn't have to even do that. She can just kinda showcase her personality on social media if that's her thing. Not everyone's a content creator.
Yeah, no, good point. She is definitely not as comfortable in front of a camera as me. We've had some good Instagram lives and people have loved them. I've gotten great feedback, but she's I think we're getting there.
Mhm.
She's definitely not as comfortable, like I said, doing what I do. Like for me, like I can just like roll out of bed and like boom, I could be on Instagram live. To me, it's authentic, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, like I'm kind of like leaning into this almost radical authenticity sort of thing where it's like, this is where I am. Like, look at my messy room. Like, this is just me. She's more in the middle. She's like, all right, I want to get dressed. I want to make sure I look good. And it's understandable.
Yeah.
That's very understandable, and like for her
Mhm.
work, she's on her Zoom calls and stuff like that. And she looks very presentable. But I'm
Fair.
hoping I can, at least for the purposes of the Instagram and stuff, I'm hoping we can show a little bit more just like, hey, this is the real us. Like, we're not perfect. We have our own problems and troubles and whatever. But um, yeah, it's a work in progress.
I mean, she, I guess, knew that when she was dating you, so, I mean, she know what she signed up for, right?
Oh, it's easy to say that. That's just like, the
True.
people who told me, "Hey, you knew what you were getting yourself
Fair
into when you
enough.
went on the show." It's like, did I? Because
Fair enough.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it happens. Like in the Bachelor Nation right now, there's this TikToker. She just put out like a video that she hooked up with the Bachelor.
Oh,
And
geez.
it went viral.
Okay.
And everyone found out that she didn't actually hook up with the Bachelor. It was like a
Oh,
guy who
wow.
was pretending to be the Bachelor. And the
Wow.
Bachelor himself, Clayton, had to like make a video and be like, that was not me. I'm not in New York, and like put his location up for everyone to see. And this
That
this
is
girl,
crazy.
she just, like, went literally viral. The video hit, like, 1,000,000 views, and now she's in every press outlet. Every Bachelor Nation account is, like, shitting on her, saying shit about her. Like, she had no idea, but then some people are like, maybe she did have an idea. Like, maybe she was just trying to get clout from it, and now she's, like, being talked about and everywhere, and I don't she had to put out a public apology, and
Damn,
it's
but she
tragic.
got the clout. She got the clout. It's like it may as well be a sex tape at that point, right?
I know, but
Like,
it's so wrong to
super wrong.
start a rumor. Like, she didn't even fact check that this was the guy. She could have Googled him. Like, how do you not know who you went home with?
Is it possible she's that, naive that she was just like, "Oh, this is The Bachelor." It's possible.
She's never seen the show, she says. I think it's a little bit
Oh,
of both.
wow.
Most of Bachelor Nation doesn't believe her.
Okay.
She did delete the video. I guess she felt bad about it. Also, legally, I mean, it is defamation of character, right? But I mean, either way, she kept me entertained for the past few days. She
Oh, okay.
gave me some good things to talk about.
Well, that's the important thing, Zach. You got
Yeah.
your content. You got something to talk
Hmm.
about. Definitely interesting. It looks like we got to wrap up here in a little bit, but I do want to ask a couple questions. Number one, what was the wildest tea that you've spilled regarding Love is Blind or in general?
I mean, I think Love is Blind. I think starting to spill the Netflix show that just got filmed in Panama and was a dating show. I got some inside scoop about that, and I've spilled a little bit about that because it won't come out for another year. But I think getting on that and spilling that tea was kind of major.
Okay, okay, very cool. And what do you think about reality TV's future?
I think it's not going to slow down. I mean, I know Netflix has like 6 or 7 shows coming out this year, and I think Netflix is the new reality TV. I mean, I watch Bachelor, I watch Bravo, I watch all the MTV shows, and they're so much more fluff and editing, and you're not seeing these raw conversations. And I feel like on Netflix, what I'm liking, and the Kardashians are starting to do this now when they're going to Hulu, it's starting to be a little bit more docu-series, but yet still reality TV. So that's kind of what I see for the future. Definitely paving more of a way into that because it's more authentic than what reality TV has become on so many other shows. And I am just like going to be watching reality TV forever. It's actually all I watch.
I love it. Okay, you're a passionate man, and I gave you like 1 year before you're producing one of these shows, honestly, if not less.
Yeah.
So very excited for you. As we wrap up here, how can fans, listeners find you? Where can they watch your videos?
Yeah, everything is at Zachary Reality on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Just covering all the shows, giving you guys the latest tea and gossip, always giving my opinion as well as the news, and just it's going to be a lot of fun content over there. So yeah, definitely check me out, and thank you so much for having me. It's nice to meet you. I definitely wanted to, judge you based on meeting you on a live and not based on a edited TV show. So I'm glad we got to know each other better.
I couldn't be happier to have you on here, Zachary. I will probably be hitting you up to get some tea down the line. So
We'll exchange tea.
Perfect. Looking forward to having you on another time. Okay. So again, Zachary Reality, the iconic TikTok, Instagram, reality TV, tea spiller, collector,
Blogger.
consolidator, blogger. He does it all with reality. So find him online. And this has been another episode of Life is Blurry. We will see you next time.